read State of Wonder by Anne Patchett. It's about this pharmacologist, Marina Singh, and she's from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and she works for this pharmaceutical company, Vogel. And she, in the beginning of the novel, recently finds out that her coworker, Anders, had been sent to the Amazon to find her old teacher when she was in medical school, who is developing a drug for the Vogel that is supposed to extend female fertility. And so she learns that Anders had died, and she's sent to go find her teacher to replace him, and that's the premise of the novel. And we came up with this epigraph.
Yeah, so the epigraph is, we forget that nature gives us all that keeps us living. We take it all and still want more, but never think of giving. And this is by Norman Littleford in Man vs. Nature. And this kind of ties in with the plot of the State of Wonder, because Vogel Corporation is looking for medicine in the Amazon, which is kind of like them taking away from nature. And then also kind of talks about characters in the thematic of the novel. Like it's kind of talking about how like people will try to abuse nature for their own personal gain. Like Mr. Fox, the CEO of Vogel, seems to care more about the well-being of the drug than the well-being of the characters. And then it also introduces the thematic of how should we treat nature with respect to medicine. And then it also brings like a tone of like possible drift when we went with the words we forget. So yeah.
So our significant passage is where a snake, or specifically an anaconda, is trying to choke the life out of a boy named Easter. And it says, Easter tried to work his own small hands between himself and the snake. Easter's eyes shot first to Marina, and there she saw the very soul of him in his fear, and she pulled. It never occurred to Marina that his spine could snap. They all went down to their knees. So the snake wrapping tightly around Easter relates to the symbol of the Ouroboros, which is a snake biting its own tail. The symbol was used to represent the eternal cycle of destruction and creation nature provided. And the Ouroboros, especially in Norse mythology, represented the cyclical renewal of life. And in some cultures, such as like Asian cultures, for example, the snake was also rumored to be a genetically modified dragon, which is a little weird, but thus it made it a man-made creation, and it was artificial. And this corresponds with the conflict between artificiality and nature, and as the snake shows the repercussions of disturbing the natural order, as Dr. Swenson attempts to control the cycle of life itself by preventing menopause and prolonging female reproduction capabilities.
So adding on to that, one of the most prominent themes of the book is the healing capabilities nature can provide. And up until this point in the novel, we've mostly been exposed to these positive aspects. For example, the bark that when eaten can prolong menopause. And fitting with the rest of the book's themes, the author really doesn't want nature to fit into an idealized archetype. She doesn't want it to only be viewed in the positive light. She wants to create this sense of ambiguity surrounding it. So during this scene, for the first time, the readers are exposed to the darker side of nature. How, like Chen said, nature has the capabilities to both give life and just as easily take it away. And on this note, Easter is an allusion to the day where Jesus Christ was resurrected. So what this is illustrating is that not only can nature give life or prolong fertility, but it also can take it away. At the same time, delving deeper into the theme of religion, there's a snake in the Garden of Eden, and perhaps this is suggesting that the group, in their attempts to find the forbidden fruit of knowledge, trying to do things that naturally don't occur, they're going to be punished for that, and it's foreshadowing conflicts that are going to occur later on in the book.
So we have 5 criteria that we all decided that this novel really fits well with. The first one being, the work of fiction must prompt us to contemplate the current events of our society, and it must help us establish a connection with the real world events. So the plot in this novel is centered around the development of a drug that increases fertility and helps extend menopause, as Chen alluded to. So this idea is relevant to the real world in bioethics in terms of the debate on whether humans should alter natural course of how we function, and as well as like whether it's able to perform clinical trials on humans and medicine in terms of like, should you disrupt how humans should interact? The second criteria is that the book, the plot of the book can stand alone, and its story, independent of theme, is very engaging. So we all agreed that the novel is very engaging because it includes a bunch of complex characters with their interactions with nature. It has a vivid imagery, allusions to Greek mythology, as Chen pointed out, and various aspects of nature. They also include dreams of the past, as with Marina and her dreams with her father. There are also powerful symbols such as the jungle and the snake, as Chen and Khalid alluded to, as well as finally the most engaging would be the overall plot where doctors are just conducting clinical trials trying to increase female fertility. The third criteria is that the book must have a meaningful message. As with all the illusions, imagery, and complex characters that the book has, which makes it engaging, the plot not only engages the reader but also conveys a meaningful message, that being the idea of man versus nature and the morality of altering humans or the nature's course. The fourth criteria is that the book avoids or redefines cliches, and their use of archetypes and literary tropes helps illustrate meaning. The quote, "The novel does redefine and avoid many cliches." As Khalid pointed out, nature is not always all good or all bad, and Patchett really emphasizes this. Additionally, she, like most fictional novels, they should end on a happy note, but as Khalid alluded to, Patchett kind of makes the ending a bit ambiguous and containing mixed feelings. And then the novel also has many archetypes, symbols, and allusions. For example, snake, and then Easter, as Chen talked about, how it's an allusion to the birth of Jesus and the birth of Christianity. And there's also a lot of allusions to Greek mythology with, as Chen said, the setting in the jungle and the inclusion of native peoples highlights the concept of man versus nature and altering nature's course. And then the final criteria is the author's use of language and writing techniques helps elevates the book's meaning. So Patchett's language is complex, not in terms of she uses big words, but she's very concise, and that conciseness allows her to integrate layers of meaning within each word. For example, as Chen alluded to, the Easter is not only a name of a deaf child who's a connection between Marina and Anders, but it's also the name of the holiday that celebrates the birth of Christianity.